At the end of our last show, I told you we'd be sitting down with someone who was single-handedly responsible for the name 30A. Well, today he's with us next on Along the Beach. Hey, it's Bill with Along the Beach and Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Beach Properties of Florida. You know, when I sat down to come up with some ideas about how I wanted to showcase this area, I knew there were certain people I wanted to sit down and talk with. And while it's our beaches that tend to get most of the notoriety here, it's the people, I think, that makes this area so special. And that's why I'm super excited to sit down with Mike Ragsdale, the 30A brand. Mike, thanks a lot for spending a few minutes with us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah. Well, just I think a good place to start is kind of tell people where you're from and how you came to find yourself in this area.
I grew up in North Alabama and went to school at Auburn and Alabama, so I can play either side of that field. And then I started a business there, started a family there. My wife Angela and our 4 kids. We decided we were just ready for a life change at some point, and quite frankly, we picked up and moved, very abruptly. I think people thought I was running from the IRS or had an ex that was after me or something, but not the case. We just really decided we wanted to live at the beach, and we looked at a lot of different places, and ultimately, and I'll say somewhat randomly, settled on this place. And we didn't know anyone. We picked up and moved. No doubt that it was scary, but all of our 4 children will say it was absolutely the best move we ever made, and that it was the best thing our family's ever done to just show us there is a bigger world, there's a bigger opportunity, and now, of course, the 30A brand's just played such an important role in our family's history. Yeah.
Well, kind of tell us a little bit about kind of the genesis of the 30A brand. How did that come about? Where did you come up with the name 30A?
Mm-hmm. It's not as obvious as it seems because 15 years ago, this area wasn't referred to as 30A. A lot of people, frankly, called it Destin, even though Destin's in the next county. Or they referred to the individual community names like Seaside and Rosemary Beach and Sandestin. So I thought I wanted to be a writer. I was between careers and didn't know what I was gleefully unemployed and fishing on my dock here at the bay. And I thought I wanted to be a writer, so I figured I better start blogging. I better start exercising those creative muscles so I can write the next novel or screenplay. And I thought, well, to blog, I've got to come up with a URL. And so I bought 30A.com, which again was not difficult to acquire because nobody really called the area that. But I viewed it as a great, literally a string that connects all of these beach communities together. And so I started blogging. I started writing about the dolphins swimming by the dock, or writing about people driving out onto the sand, or about our favorite spot for a martini or a sunset cocktail. And at some point, someone came up to me on the beach a couple years later and just said, how much does it cost to advertise on your site? I don't know, I didn't have any advertisers. So I said $50 or whatever, and they gave me $50. And then every time somebody would ask me after that, I just went up a little bit. So it really grew organically, and I was doing consulting on the side to pay the bills. But at some point I realized there was enough traction with the brand to turn it into a full-time endeavor, and that's what I did. Probably around 2012 is when I really started saying, I'm going to focus on this as my full-time job.
Right. And now you have 30A stores kind of scattered throughout 30A. Correct me if I'm wrong, you've got 3 along 30A. You've got your Airstream and Miramar Beach. Is that correct?
So we've got the Airstream, which is new in Grand Boulevard. And then we've got the 3 stores. We've got one in Gulf Place, one in Seagrove, and one in Rosemary Beach inside Amavita Coffee. And then we have our new Beach Happy Cafe, which will be opening next month in Watercolor. And then we've got over 400 locations nationwide that carry 30A recycled apparel. So that's in New Jersey, Oregon, California, you name it. There are stores all over the U.S. that carry our shirts that are all made from recycled plastic water bottles.
If somebody's walking into a 30A store, kind of what can they find in there?
It's obviously the recycled apparel is the superstar, but we also have partnerships with, for example, Tervis Tumblers. They not only do they produce our 30A and Beach Happy Turkish tumblers, but they carry them in their stores, right? So we have 30A coffee by Amavita. We have 30A beer by Great and Beer. We have 30A wine. We have 30A electric bikes with YOLO. So it's kind of a beach lifestyle store, and it's really products that we've curated. We've partnered with the best people we can possibly think of, such as our partnership with Berkshire Hathaway for our 30A real estate. We partner with the best companies we can in each category, and we say, you know what? Hey, 30A is a tribe.
Right.
It's a tribe of very passionate people who love the beach, and in particular love this beach.
Right.
And if we can provide them not only with content, news stories, videos, Instagram, photos, if we can provide them with content they love and with products they love that keep them happy, that remind them of their time at the beach, that's really what our goal is.
Right.
Our goal is, our audience, really, we don't target the people who live here, although certainly we reach those people as well. Our mission really is to bring happiness into the lives of people who can't be here.
Right.
And that happiness comes through the various products that we curate and license.
That's great. Now, very recently, y'all just partnered with a widely known travel publication, Beaches Resorts and Parks, and to kind of partner with them to make a new publication, Beach Happy. Kind of tell us about that.
Yeah, so Will Estelle had this magazine that he had created, and it was great. But we really wanted to do a magazine at some point, but also knew not to get involved in a business we didn't know anything about.
Right.
So Will approached us, or we had conversations over the years about, a collaboration of sorts. So we ended up buying the magazine, and we didn't really buy it for the title that they had or the content they had. We bought it for Will, and we bought it for the distribution they had, because it's in every Barnes & Noble in the nation, every Books A Million, it's in Publix, Kroger. And so we really had a vision for this magazine that becomes the magazine that beach lovers want. And it doesn't have to be people who just love these beaches.
Right.
If you love the beach at all, this is the magazine for you.
Right.
And really, in a lot of ways, I think Coastal Living kind of went more homes and fabrics and throw pillows and stuff like that. We're more, we're a true beach vibe, so we've got, coastal cocktails, we've got destinations, we've got beach gear, we've got all sorts of fun stuff, really the fun side of the beach and not just the home stuff. It really is a magazine that will appeal to anyone who loves the white sugar sand that we've got here.
Yeah. Well, aside from the beaches, like I mentioned, gets kind of all the notoriety here. What do you think it is about this area that stands out to people?
I think there's several different things, but I will tell you this. I think that people believe they're coming to this particular stretch for the beach, but in reality, let's admit it, you can get similar beaches in Destin, you can get similar beaches in Panama City, and we all know these are among the best beaches in the world no matter what. But I really believe it's that sense of community that you feel when you're here. It's that, I used to say Mayberry at the beach, but some of my millennial employees pulled me off to the side and said, we don't know what
they don't know.
And I'm like, it kind of killed me a little bit on the inside, I have to confess. But it's small town America at the beach.
Right.
That's what our brand represents. And that is something that is kind of unique to the Panhandle at this point, because if you go further south, as we all know in Florida, you're not getting the village life. You're not getting small town America. You're getting high-rise condo towers. You're getting goofy golf. You're getting, bungee jumps and go-kart tracks.
Right.
And this area is much more eco-friendly, much more it's an ecological Disney World. We've got so many amazing amenities, and it's bike trails, and it's coastal dune lakes, and it's sunset walks. And I feel that, the reason people come here is because they're missing a sense of community in their lives.
Yeah.
They're in Atlanta, and they're in Birmingham, or they're in Nashville or Little Rock, and they're commuting an hour each way to their office, and they get down here and there's that sense that, man, this is how life should be.
Yeah.
Why am I not riding my bike to work?
Yeah.
Why am I not doing a sunset cocktail every night to celebrate this amazing event? And when they get here, they feel it. And I think that if it was just about the beach, they could go east or west and find another beach. I would be willing to bet there's a high percentage of people who come here and almost never step on a beach. I think they come here and they may go out to the beach.
Right.
And they do it once or twice during that week, but they come here for the cafes, they come here for the wine bars, they come here for that market. They come here for that sense of community that perhaps they're missing in their own lives.
Right.
So I think the beach is the obvious draw.
Yeah.
But then once you've gotten the sunburn, once you've had a couple days, once they step off the beach and they start to explore the trails, they explore Choctawhatchee Bay, they start to explore the restaurants and all these other things, that's what I think is the glue that keeps them coming back.
Yeah. And also I think it's the local events that we have here are some that you can't find anywhere else, and that people around the country know, whether it's the charity wine auction, it's digital graffiti and roads. There's things that you know that are just significant to our area here.
Because this area is so extraordinary, people sacrifice salary for lifestyle. They could work in New York, they could work in San Francisco, most of them have, whether it's as chefs or artists or musicians, and they choose to take a haircut, a pay cut, and because they want to surf, or they want to live, they want to fish, or they want to live the life they want to live. So we're blessed as a community that really only has about 12,000 full-time residents, or whatever the population is. The per capita number of James Beard award-winning chefs and Grammy-nominated songwriters, and I mean, all of this talent we've got here is unbelievable. You won't find it in big cities, much less in a small town our size.
Right. Well, one thing I wanted to ask you, I think you have a unique perspective on this, maybe more so than anybody else, is you've seen this area come a long way since you've been here, but what do we look like 15, 20 years from now, do you think?
Well, no one likes change, but change is inevitable, as we all know. And the waves of change were coming. I mean, you can look at Panama City, you can look at Destin, and it's obvious that they weren't going to get to the Walton County line and just say, well, we can't go any further. The growth, the development was inevitable. This was one of the last undiscovered pockets of pristine nature. Fortunately, this area had the benefit, and we had leadership who had the vision and saw what went right and what went wrong in Destin, what went right and what went wrong in Panama City Beach and or any place. And we had the luxury of being the last. And so I think we have two things that really protect this area to a degree that other areas can't benefit from. One is 40% of the land on this peninsula is protected. So we've got 25,000 acres of Point Washington State Forest. We've got 4 or 5 state parks. All of that's protected, right? So you can't build on that land, and really, with the exception of some parcels on 98, Alice Beach was the last major development that can happen on 38. The second thing is you have a 50-foot height restriction, in the entire county, not just, here along the beach. You can't build over 4 stories tall, except a few buildings that were grandfathered in, of course, because of their pre-existence. So you can't build up and you can't build out. So what that's going to do is that's going to protect property prices. It's going to protect that village vibe that we all love. So look, change is coming. I mean, there's going to be new things pop up. Some we'll like, some we won't. But those two things are huge. And those two things, once you don't have that, you can't get that back. You can't go to Tampa or Sarasota. You can't get that land back. You can't bring those buildings down to 4 stories. The fact that we had the foresight to put those protections in place makes this property uniquely valuable and uniquely treasured. I'll also say that we have a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of forward-thinking people who are looking at electric bikes. They're looking at, ways to address traffic, ways to bring new events, concerts. We have chefs. That's the way it works down here. Everybody moves here, and we all have to work 3 jobs for the first couple years to figure out, like, how am I going to survive?
That's right.
Because I took a pay cut to come here. So I've got to I got to be doing this job, and I got to have a side hustle, and I got to bartend on weekends or whatever it is. And everybody figures, once you get your sea legs, once you figure it out, then people start to create. So you have somebody like a Jen Kuntz, or you have someone who maybe starts an Airstream, and then when they finally figure out how to make their business work, their restaurant, then they go, why don't we start a farmer's market? Or
Right.
why don't we start an art festival? Or so what you really are seeing now, I kind of say it's a flip-flop renaissance of sorts. You know, you're seeing all of these entrepreneurs, whether they're musicians or artists or entrepreneurs, small business owners, you're seeing all these people practice their craft.
Right.
And they're pouring their creativity back into the community.
Right.
And that's what's really making this so rich right now, is it's not just the architecture, it's not just the amenities, it is all the cool events, and it is all of these unique creative people who are now, they figured out how to survive here, and now not only are they surviving, they're thriving, and they're creating things that the rest of us are benefiting from.
Yeah, that's a great point. Now you guys send out a newsletter from 38.com that you've got what, close to 3 million people probably goes out to?
Yeah, we've got we've got about almost 2 million social media followers, tons of newsletter subscribers, mobile app users. We've got 38 radio. So we've got this network of, including the magazine, this network of media properties. And so collectively, I don't know how much it all adds up to, but it's a lot. It's a lot.
It was somebody that what can people find in somebody gets a newsletter? What do you put in your newsletter?
You know, we have 3 different types of newsletter, really. We do a real estate push once a month where we're highlighting certain properties that are for sale and different price points or whatever. We also have our recycled gear, and so we have product-related emails, but the ones that I think people enjoy the most and that I like the most are kind of the ones where we're sharing the local stories. You know, we're sharing videos about special personalities or special businesses, things to do, activities. So you get a good mix. You know, you get a good mix between here's beach gear that you might like, here are events that are coming up and places you should check out. And by the way, if you're ready to move here full time, here's some houses you might look at too. So it just depends on the type of newsletter that's going out that day.
How would somebody go about getting signed up for the newsletter?
Yeah, if you go to 30a.com, you can see down at the bottom of the page there's a newsletter sign up. There's also on 30agear.com. You know, so we've got all these different properties, and so really anytime you type 30A, whether it's the mobile app, whether it's the website, whether it's 30A radio, you know, it'll bring you back to the mothership at some point. But 30a.com is the home for everything.
Sure. Well, one thing I want to ask you that I ask everybody, that especially people that have lived here a long time, and I certainly get asked people that are either thinking about moving here or they're coming down here. It's kind of a fun question. You got to tell us what your favorite place to eat is around here.
Wow, that's
a hard one. I know.
Challenging.
I know, it's very challenging.
That is challenging because it depends on what you're in the mood for.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I could rattle off so many great places. I will tell you the place I'm currently enjoying is North Beach Social, and the reason is they just really dialed it in and created something where you've got farm and fire upstairs. And the reason I like it is because I can ride my bike, my electric bike there. So I hop on the sidewalk. So now I work from home. So pretty much under the pandemic, of course, there were no meetings. So suddenly me being the odd guy who wouldn't have meetings or didn't like to have meetings, suddenly Zoom became normal, and now I seem normal. You know, 3 years ago I seemed like an oddball. But now that meetings are starting to come back, you know, I tell people, just meet me at North Beach. Let's sit out on the beach. Yeah. Let's have a beer. Let's have a burger, and we'll just sit there and enjoy this lifestyle that we moved here for. So there's so many great places. I couldn't possibly rattle them all off, but because of its proximity to my home and because it's a beautiful beach and the food's good, I'm currently grooving on North Beach Social.
Well, we're right next door. We're to a place, Perfect Pig, which you can't beat. I think I've sent so many people there. I think they owe me a free meal over there. But it is so good over there. There's nothing bad on that menu.
No.
Well, hey, Mike, thanks a lot for hanging out with us a little bit. If you make sure you check out 30a.com, sign up for the newsletter. They got a great shop. You can get all kinds of stuff in there. There's really nothing you can't find. But for Mike and myself, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Along the Beach.
Thank you, guys.